Welcome back, everyone, to the Vapor Sports YouTube channel. I'm Logan. I'm joined today by Tate. How you doing, man? Long time no see, huh?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Sorry to our whatever. I don't even know if we have viewers. I haven't checked, but if we do, I'm sorry. I've been crazy busy personally, and I do most of the editing for the joint videos. And really, it just comes down to like, do I have enough time in the day? I've been hella busy lately. Schedule's gonna free up pretty soon though. The semester's almost over, so hopefully we'll be rolling out a lot more NFL and maybe even some college football content down the line and doing some extra videos. There should be. So we're gonna change our video format up a bit, but we'll let you guys see how that goes. Also, I'm gonna do an extra video this week, but I'm gonna keep that a surprise. Let's jump right into it. So this week we're not gonna be reacting to the past week, even though it was quite interesting. We're just gonna be talking about the power rankings, which will be somewhat of a reaction, and then we're gonna go through our predictions for the next week. So let's just jump right into the power rankings. Let's not sugarcoat it here. So we're going to start. The Denver Broncos actually moved up one spot from 24 to 23, which I'm going to be honest. If they lost close to the Chiefs, this wouldn't have surprised me. But with the fact that they got blown out at home, I'm really surprised that they didn't drop at all. But of course, that does depend on other things. So yeah, I mean, Broncos. I say moving them up is a little misleading, but we'll see if Drew Lock can play better down the line.
I was going to say, I think the weather definitely had a factor. I know the Broncos are used to playing in kind of that cold weather situation. Same with the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, it was a close game. I would say that the
Right.
Broncos did have some chances to get some turnovers. I believe that Mahomes had I don't know if he had a fumble or anything, but I remember the Broncos had a few turnovers that they were able to get.
But the Chiefs just forced
Unfortunately,
more.
Chiefs pulled away kind of in that second quarter. So
Yeah, I think it was definitely a lot closer than the score would suggest. I think the defense played outstanding as they did against the Patriots. They played quite well. Drew Lock, I mean, his passer rating wasn't great, but Drew Lock actually had more yards than Patrick Mahomes in that game. And Patrick Mahomes' one touchdown was kind of in garbage time when the game was already over.
yeah,
So, I mean, you got to remember, if you're a Bronco fan and you're kind of jumping off the hype train that kind of started in the offseason and has kind of slowed down a bit, all I would say is it's a young offense, and the defense is looking good enough to be a playoff level defense. It all just depends on, can the offense develop fast enough. So let's move on now. Why don't we mention the New England Patriots here?
yeah. I think, well, first off, both Logan and I did not pick the 49ers in this game. What's really interesting now is the news about Julian Edelman. Sounds like he's going to have a knee surgery and will miss the Bills game. Now, the Patriots defense did not look good at all in this game. Gave up like 497 yards. And I mean, again, I was not expecting this much of a blowout at all. Cam Newton really did not play that great. Their offense could not get going really the entire game. So, 2-4 for the Patriots. A lot of people don't really expect that kind of record out of them.
Right.
I wasn't expecting them to be this bad coming in the week 7 and week 8. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward.
Right, you'd expect them to be around 500 at this point, but yeah. All right, let's see who's next. I believe let's talk about the Cleveland Browns real quick. I believe they won this past weekend after Odell Beckham was out with a chest injury, I think, or was it his AC? I don't know. I think it was a chest injury.
Torn ACL, it sounds like.
Yeah, okay, torn ACL.
Yeah,
Sorry.
torn ACL.
I heard somewhere it was a chest injury. Obviously, it's not, but he'll be out for quite a while. It's probably season-ending. So
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield has been kind of same old Baker Mayfield. He's had really off and on games, and I would like to mention the circle of Baker Mayfield. I don't know if you've seen that, but I will. I'm gonna leave it. Other way. I'm gonna leave it right here. I'm gonna put a picture right there of the Baker Mayfield cycle. Really funny, guys, right? It's really funny, haha. Haha funny, LOL in the chat. Comment LOL if you think that was funny. Anyways, so yeah, Cleveland Browns, I'm still not a believer. They're 5-2, but I'm still not a believer in the Browns one bit. Let's move to Wait, where the hell is? Oh wait, we forgot to mention. Hold on. Sorry, we didn't. We skipped over the Cowboys. The Cowboys are at 25 now. What do you want to talk about Cowboys for a few seconds here?
Yeah, so I watched a bit of that game, and I'm gonna tell you right now, even with Andy Dalton or even without him either, because again, that kind of controversial hit on him by John Bostic. You know, a lot of people can talk
Right.
about that, but I mean, to lose to the Washington football team, and considering how bad the NFC East has really been starting these first couple weeks. I mean, really, it's anybody's division at this point. I don't really even see a clear favorite right now. Like I thought the Cowboys were going to be it until Dak got hurt. Now it's kind of Eagles, Redskins. Really, everyone's still in contention. So I
Yeah.
think those divisional matchups will matter a lot coming into the final weeks of the season. Again, Andy Dalton really didn't get the job done. But when he was hurt, I mean, they really uh, had no way getting back in that game. Now, as for Washington, I was really impressed with, Kyle Allen and Terry McLaurin. They've had a really good connection. Terry McLaurin had 7 catches for 90 yards. So he also, like in that highlight reel, whatever, he burnt that one dude pretty fast. So if they can keep that kind of offense up, that should be good for them. But again, it's the NFC East. You can't really have much expectations for them.
Yeah, and it's funny when you think about it in the NFC East. Every single team is basically one game away, one win or loss from having a top 10 pick and being in the playoffs and having a home game. It's
Yeah.
it's really an odd thing to think about. But let's move on to the top 10 real quick. Let's The Rams are sneaking in here at 5-2. They're at number 10. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of like what we're seeing from the Rams, I think a lot of it comes down to coaching, and I think you have to give just the entire Rams coaching staff, but especially Sean McVay, a lot of credit for doing what they're doing with this team. I don't know if I really think they're a contender necessarily, but I do have to say that, this is a good example of how far, you know, really good coaching can take any team, really. I mean, the Rams do have talent, don't get me wrong, but if you look at them compared to the Saints, compared to the Bucks, compared to the Chiefs, they wouldn't have quite as much talent, but still very impressive coaching. I'm interested to see how the NFC West shapes up towards the end of the year.
Yeah, so at number 9, the Saints were able to beat the Panthers, I believe, this weekend. Some news about Hurricane Zeta damaging their practice facility, but really, other than that, I mean, the Saints.
What's new in New Orleans, man?
Yeah, there's not really much to say. Other than that, I mean, I was having a little more hope for them this year. I haven't really seen the same kind of play as far as their team and stuff, but
Yeah, I agree there.
hopefully they will blend together a bit better with Kamara and Breeze, and if they get Michael Thomas back.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills. This past week, they're at number 8, still staying at number 8. They're coming off a loss to the Chiefs, and they played the Jets, I believe, in an honestly pretty. I didn't watch the game, but from what I understand, it was quite ugly. So I don't know if that's just the fact that the Bills are kind of a defensive team. I don't know if they're having some problems in terms of discipline or coaching, since I haven't watched them. I didn't watch them play the Jets, but just the score alone kind of tells you that it was a sloppy game, and the Bills have a far way to go if they want to make a deep playoff run and beat teams like the Chiefs. So we'll see. We'll see if their coaching staff can get them over the hump here.
Yep. All right, number 7, the Bucks. Yeah, they beat the Raiders pretty comfortably this weekend. I guess the big news is that Antonio Brown is now a Buccaneers player, and hopefully he will be able to mesh with the kind of organization that Bruce Arians wants this there. I know there's like a ton of talk about, well, he didn't really, connect well with the Patriots and Steelers and stuff, but I think the leadership role of Tom Brady might be able to keep him in check. And
Right.
unfortunately, if he isn't able to disappoint himself, as you've kind of seen in previous years, well, he gets released or gets, thrown out. So we'll see.
Right. Okay, so at number 6, we have the Tennessee Titans, who are undefeated coming into this week, playing the undefeated Steelers, and really a game that I think really lived up to everyone's expectations of when two undefeated teams play each other. They expect some just a great product on the field, and I think both teams delivered. Unfortunately, the Titans did come up short. The Steelers got the win. But I definitely think that the Titans need to really tighten up their defensive unit. Their offense obviously they found their identity. They did that late last year. They know what their identity is there. I think because any good playoff team needs to have at least an above average defense to really have a chance to contend with a lot of the high seeds in the playoffs. So we'll see what they can do. I still like the Titans. I don't think most people are worried about the Titans, but they're definitely something to keep an eye on here, especially their defense.
Yep, sounds good. All right, so Packers number 5. Again, they were able to beat the Texans this weekend. And the one thing I heard that was interesting is that they're trying to make a trade for Will Fuller, who actually ironically happens to be playing for Houston. So
right.
If they want to go get him, maybe you can. But I know that Fuller's had some injury problems, so
right.
If they want, you can take him. But we'll see.
Yep. Number 4, we got the Ravens. They stay number 4 from last week. I believe they played the Eagles this past week. Sorry, we're recording on Thursday, so I don't even remember what the heck last week was. But they played the Eagles in a game that was probably a little too close for Ravens fans, and I don't think the Ravens were really comfortable in that game. They still won because they are the better team on the surface. But yeah, I definitely haven't seen the same kind of spark from the Ravens this year that we were seeing last year from that 14-2 run. We'll see if they can kind of recapture what they had last year. But so far, they're looking like they may have just a few problems that could really come back and bite them.
Yep. All right, number 3, Seattle Seahawks. They've moved down 2 spots from number 1. I have to say this Sunday night game was probably one of the best I've seen so far this season. Just, out of your seat, who's going to win.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
A lot going on in that game. The one thing I would like to mention is DK Metcalf, putting in that effort to
the memes
chase down Budda Baker.
The memes are just great.
Chase down Budda Baker and prevent that pick 6. But, yeah, the Cardinals were able to pull it out on that field goal at the end.
Yeah.
Division, the NFC West, is going to be very competitive.
Yeah, no, it's going to be insanely competitive. And I think it's unfortunate that Russell Wilson was a little uncharacteristic towards the end of the game there with, some costly interceptions. So we'll see. I mean, I still believe in Russell Wilson. I still think he's, at least in the top 3, if not the best quarterback in the league right now. And obviously, he's a veteran. He can make the changes he needs to make to take back that number 1 spot. But we'll see if the Seahawks defense can develop a little bit more. The Chiefs are staying at number 2. They blew out my poor Denver Broncos. My poor beaten up. Half their starters are injured, and we still get shit from Chiefs fans. But hey, I think what we saw from the Chiefs is something that I think a lot of people knew already, especially people, especially like Chiefs fans and people who really pay a lot of attention to the Chiefs, but maybe people who don't, might not have realized this yet, even though they did win the Super Bowl. Their defense and their special teams are really... Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns to win. They don't need that. And they don't even need... Because Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell didn't have their best days either. I think what it just goes to show is the Chiefs don't even need that already just insanely great offense. Their defense and special teams can win them games too. So I think the Chiefs are a scary team right now, and I don't think anyone can match up very well against them right now. Except for who's the number 1 team, Tate. Who's the number 1 team in the power rankings, and who's the one who can match up to the Chiefs, in my opinion?
Well, yeah, have to praise my Steeler Nation. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, guys, let's think about it. That game against the Titans was awesome. But the thing is, if we want to have any chance of of being a super good team, we cannot afford to have a second half in that game that we did. But one, we were able to contain Derrick Henry. Again, he only had 20 rushes for 75 yards and a touchdown. I say that's a win.
Yep.
But I think what will be most interesting coming into this week against the Ravens is if we can be able to to pull away. We don't need these kind of mistakes in
You don't want
games
to let them
against
back in
good
the game.
teams.
Yep.
Right, and I mean this game against the Ravens is going to be this game is going to be the prove it to me matchup. Like if we win, I'm going to say yeah, we're legit, but if we lose and we lose badly or it's not really a great game, I don't really think we deserve number one, at least yet. I mean, who knows?
Yep.
But
And as someone who remembers watching the Super Bowl 50 no-fly zone Broncos and the great front seven, one of the best secondaries of all time, I can say with confidence that I would take an elite defense to beat an elite offense any day of the week. And I think that's why I'm really pulling for the Steelers this year, simply because I want the Chiefs to be knocked out. And I don't care how. I just want them to get knocked out at some point before they go back to back. And I think the Steelers, because some teams think, hey, we need to keep up with them on offense, and just play, and we just need to have good enough defense. I think, and the Steelers' offense is really coming into its own right now, I'll admit. But yeah. I think when it comes down to it, if you have just a suffocating defense where you can rush 4 or 5 and get to the quarterback, and your DBs won't blow coverages, and your safeties can see the entire field, and your linebackers are really able to slow down the run game, which is I think that's all things that Steelers have. I think that that's the kind of team that could beat a team like the Chiefs and a team that could make a Super Bowl run, possibly. But I guess that's a lot of hope shining through right now, but I think a lot of it is true. So I'm looking forward to watching the Steelers for the rest of the year, especially into the playoffs. All right, man. So that's our power rankings for this week. Let's go to our predictions. Let's start with the Falcons at the Panthers. I think the Falcons have a good enough chance at beating the Panthers, but I'm going to go safe, and I'm going to go with the Panthers. They might be getting Christian McCaffrey back as well. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, this game is just... Some of these games are so weird because, they've already played each other, and 2, their records don't really tell us who they really are. The Panthers are 3-4, but it could probably be 500 if they had McCaffrey. I'm just going to go with the Panthers based on record.
Yep. So, and then a similar thing here, Vikings at Packers, a team that played in week 1. Packers just blew Minnesota out of the water. Aaron Rodgers threw for just crazy stats, and I think it's going to happen again. And this time it's at Lambeau, so Packers all the way.
Yeah, going with Packers. I would say that if this was a game like last year or something, it'd probably be a lot closer, but Aaron Rodgers has been playing pretty good so far. So.
Yep. All right, so we got Titans at Bengals. Let's see. So I think this game is going to be really close, and that's only because I think the NFL and football in general is a game about matchups. You can't just choose a team that has a better record. And I think right now, the Bengals match up fairly well with the Titans, and I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be Derrick Henry running for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, Ryan Tannehill throwing for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Joe Burrow throwing for 300 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. I'm going to go with the Titans just because they have a more solid roster, but I think this game is going to come down to the wire, and it might end up being who has the ball last.
Yeah, I heard about the news that the Bengals traded one of their defensive ends, Carlos Dunlap, to the Seahawks. Now, I wonder how much of an impact that will be on their defensive front. Yeah, I'm going to say the Titans. Again, they played a close game against Pittsburgh last weekend, so I think I got them in this one as well.
All right, let's look at the Jets at the Chiefs. All right, let's go to the Colts at the Lions now. I think the Lions are 3-3, which is a little bit surprising to everyone since they have some talent, but I think looking at their roster, you wouldn't expect them to be at 500 right now necessarily. But the Colts, I've been a believer of the Colts since the start of the season, and they've let me down a few times. But I'm gonna stick with the Colts this week. I'm gonna stick through them the entire first half of the season, and I think they can come out with a win at Ford Field.
Yeah, I saw the part of the Lions game against the Falcons, and I mean, again, both teams are somewhat mediocre as far as what the record tells us. Um, I honestly am going to go with the Colts. I've been liking how Philip Rivers has been playing so far.
All right, so now we got a really good matchup. We got the Steelers at the Ravens. The Steelers coming off just a massive win, a ton of momentum, the only undefeated team in the NFL right now. And the Ravens, obviously, everyone knows how talented they are, especially on offense, but they also have a solid defensive unit. I think this game is hard to predict, especially since it's at Ravens. I think if it was at Heinz Field, it would be pretty easy to pick the Steelers, but it's at whatever the hell their stadium's called in Baltimore. But I'm just gonna stick with the Steelers. They're undefeated. They're coming off a massive win. I think they can continue this roll they're on.
Yeah, well, I'm biased, obviously, but I think the one matchup we have to watch out for is Juju Smith-Schuster against Marlon Humphrey, because I know that's going to be one of the big things that will come out of this game is whether the Steelers receivers, such as Juju and Chase Claypool, will be able to get through that secondary of, Marcus Peters, Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, all those guys.
Right, right.
I remember last year though, Juju had that fumble in overtime. That's really what decided that game against the Ravens last year. But yeah, I gotta go with my Steelers in this one. I think they stay undefeated.
All right, and now we have a very interesting game because there are some interesting headlines coming out of here. We have the Los Angeles Rams heading to Miami to play the Dolphins, and as everyone knows, Tua Tagovailoa will be making his first start. And listen, I'm an Alabama fan, so I love Tua. I think he has just a generational talent in terms of raw arm talent. Now, does that transfer? Can you win games just by raw arm talent? Absolutely not in the NFL. And Tua is a smart player, don't get me wrong. Any NFL quarterback is if you're in the NFL. But at the same time, he's a rookie. He's making his first start. I think he'll make some really great throws, but I also think he'll make a few critical mistakes. And I think the Rams are going to come out of this with a pretty solid, convincing win against the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rams as well. I think that if it is Tua's first start, actually, yeah, it will be. I think that, as you said before, you might have some good plays, but I don't think they will balance out for the bad ones.
Right.
I think the Rams defense has been playing lights out pretty well. Jalen Ramsey has been pretty solid. So I think they'll produce some turnovers, and I got the Rams pretty easily in this one, I think.
All right. So now we have the Patriots at the Bills. And at the beginning of the season, I think most people would have looked at this game and just would have been going crazy for this matchup that really we've been looking forward to pretty much since Tom Brady left, And unfortunately, over the past few weeks, I'm sure the hype for that game has kind of died down a bit just because of how the Patriots are trending right now. I'm going to go the Bills, even though the Bills are on a bit of a slump themselves. So I think whoever wins this game is really going to start pushing themselves in the right direction, but I'm more confident in the Bills on this one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at first I kind of thought like the Bills were going to be a little more legit as far as how they're playing.
Right.
Really, the thing about them is that they lost to a Titans team that only practiced 2 days before that game. They lost a pretty close game to the Chiefs, and they just beat a really bad Jets team.
Barely.
So I don't think their record right now kind of says who they are. But the way that I saw the Patriots playing on Sunday gives me no indication that they would have a shot against the Bills.
Right. Fair enough. We got the Raiders at the Browns. Browns coming off a pretty nice win. The Raiders, although I think are a better, well-rounded team, and I'm gonna keep downplaying the Bills until they win the fucking Super Bowl. I don't care if they go. I don't care if they go 18-0. I would still pick them against them in the Super Bowl. I'm going Raiders in this one. I think they're a more solid team. I think John Gruden's a better coach. I think this could be close, but I'm just gonna stick with the Raiders though on this one.
Yeah, the loss of Odell is probably going to be really big as far as the receiving game. They were able to pull out a really close game against the Bengals, but they really didn't have anyone other than Rashard Higgins kind of step up. So I'm not really sure how they're going to be able to do that against a pretty solid Raiders team. So I have Vegas in this one.
All right. So next we got the Chargers at the Broncos. Chargers coming to Mile High City. Both teams are 2-4. Justin Herbert has looked fantastic so far his rookie season. The Broncos coming off a pretty nasty loss to the Chiefs, which is just what happens. It's the Chiefs. And Drew Lock coming off kind of a mediocre game. And we'll see. I think this is probably the second best secondary that Justin Herbert has faced all year. Maybe the best defense. You could make the argument between the Chiefs and the Broncos defense. I think it really just depends on the day. But, I mean, we'll see. I think the Broncos can do enough to slow down Justin Herbert. And obviously the Chargers run game has been pretty lackluster. And I think Drew Lock is going to come out and prove the naysayers wrong who are saying he's not the guy for the Broncos. He's not a good quarterback. I think he's going to go out and prove them wrong. I'm not saying he's going to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, but I am saying that he's not going to make the mistakes he's been making, especially against a Chargers defense that is just playing well below average in terms of just overall defense. So I think Drew Lock and Justin Herbert are going to I think Justin Herbert may have a better stat line at the end of the game, but I think Drew Lock will just play well enough that the Broncos defense can make enough stops and slow down Justin Herbert just enough so that Phillip Lindsay, Melvin Gordon, and Drew Lock can make some plays.
Yeah, the only comment I had on this game is that I think this should be a revenge game for Melvin Gordon. Coming from Chargers to Broncos, I think he has a lot to prove in this matchup. I think he's going to have a big day, so I can go in Broncos in this one.
All right, and I just want to say, the last time Drew Lock played the Chiefs, and he didn't play well in last year, I went to the next game against the Lions, and they had a comeback against the Lions in the second half, and Drew Lock played quite well, and the entire team just kind of rallied around him that game. I think it's going to happen again. The Broncos swept the Chargers last year. The Broncos have really, even in their down years, have really had the Chargers number. They've kind of been that one AFC team that the Broncos just knew that they could beat any year. So I'm gonna go the Broncos. Let's move on here. Let's wrap these up. Let's do a speed round real quick for the next two. Saints at Bears. I'm going Bears. I think the defense is gonna step up. I think they're gonna cause some turnovers, and Dick Nick is just gonna throw just enough. He's just gonna do well enough that they'll win, like they have all year. That's their formula, and I think it's gonna happen this game. Let's go Bears.
Yeah, they didn't look that great in the Monday Night Football game, but the way that the Saints have been playing, I honestly, this one's going to be close, but I think the Bears will be able to pull it out. I was disappointed in them last week, though. I did pick them in the Monday night game, but I still have Chicago, I think.
All right, and special report coming in here. Brandon McManus won the Week 7 Fit of the Week award from whatever the hell that one Instagram thing's called. So now 2 Broncos have won Fit of the Week. So just want to leave that out there for you folks. Judy McManus looking fly out there. Let's move on to the Cowboys. The 49ers at the Seahawks. A matchup that at the beginning of the year was looking really good. And I think it could be close, but I think Russell Wilson is just going to keep playing well enough, and he's going to not have those few mistakes, and they're going to win big. I think I don't know about Tyler Lockett. Wide receivers are hard to predict, but I think the Seahawks are going to win this one. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Seahawks are going to win late.
Yeah, I really like the 49ers in that Patriots game. However, I do think that the Seahawks have a little more as far as, how they played against the Cardinals leverage. I don't think they will make the same mistakes as they did against Arizona, so I'm going to go Seahawks here.
Awesome. So we got the Cowboys at the Eagles. Sunday night football. Just what a great matchup for prime time. Sunday night, a just dog shit team against a garbage team. I'm so excited. I'm going Eagles. Cowboys have literally nothing without Dak. They are nothing without Dak. I'm going Eagles because at least they have uh Carson Wentz, I guess. So I'm gonna go Eagles.
Going Eagles as well. I really just, like I said, I think the NFC East is wide open right now. I'd say the Eagles are probably the best team, but that's uh, that's a little understatement. So yeah, Philadelphia, I'm going with.
And now we got another just fantastic prime time matchup. Everyone's looking forward to it. It's gonna be just a great competitive game. I'm gonna go Bucks by 40 points here.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Giants a bit.
Yeah.
They did play the Eagles pretty close, but I don't think they're gonna do that against Tom Brady.
No.
So Bucks.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry, we started out with a good schedule and we were planning on keeping it, but it's all on me too. I mean, Tate's here every time I ask him to record, but it can be hard sometimes, especially since upload speeds are so fucking slow with 1 hour videos. So I'm gonna try and keep these shorter, even though we just hit 31 minutes. But anywho's, thanks for watching, guys. Special video coming out Monday or Tuesday, then the recap, then the prediction episode, something along those lines. We're gonna experiment and see what works best. But anyways, you guys have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy that sweet, sweet NFL football, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.